Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're diving into a situation that's literally unfolding as we speak. A car just drove into a crowd in Munich,
Oh, wow.
Germany. And we're going to try to make sense of it all for you. It's happening against a backdrop of some other unsettling events in Germany recently.
Yeah, it does feel like we're watching a powder keg about to ignite.
Right. So let's break down what we know. Our main source is this CBS News article that lays out the basics. A driver hit a bunch of people in a square near downtown Munich.
Oh, gosh.
Happened around 10:30 this morning. Their time, at least 28 people are injured,
Wow.
and some of them are children.
Oh, that detail about the children is just, it's just gut-wrenching, isn't it? It really brings home the randomness and the terror of something like this.
Yeah, and the article mentions there was a union demonstration going on nearby.
Oh, really?
We don't know yet if those injured were part of the protest or just people in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, so this isn't an isolated incident either.
Right.
This really echoes other vehicle attacks we've seen recently,
Yeah.
most notably the one at the Christmas market
Mm-hmm.
in Magdeburg.
Sadly, yes, yeah. And the Magdeburg attack was devastating. 5 people dead, over 200 injured. It's hard not to draw parallels and wonder about the potential for large-scale casualties in these kinds of situations.
Yeah, like a chilling reminder of how vulnerable we all are. And speaking of chilling,
Uh-oh.
there's another incident happening in Germany today
Wow.
that we need to talk about. A foiled plot in Dresden, also reported by CBS News.
Oh, okay.
Authorities apprehended a suspect who was allegedly planning to attack an asylum shelter with explosives.
Okay, so now things are getting really, really interesting and a little scary. We have 2 incidents happening on the same day in different parts of Germany.
Yeah.
Both with the potential for mass casualties. Are they connected? Are we looking at a coordinated effort? Or are these isolated incidents with completely different motives? It's too early to say, for sure, but it's a question investigators will absolutely be exploring, I would think.
Yeah. And this is where things get even more complex. The CBS News article states that authorities believe the driver in Munich is a 24-year-old Afghan asylum seeker.
Oh, wow.
So I can only imagine how this detail is going to ignite a firestorm of debate.
Absolutely. This will undoubtedly add fuel to existing tensions surrounding immigration and security in Germany. But it's crucial to remember that we can't jump to conclusions about this individual's motives or make sweeping judgments about entire groups of people based on this one incident. The investigation is ongoing, and it's important to wait for more information.
Okay, so we have a potential powder keg situation brewing, rising social tensions, a history of violence, and now this attack with a suspect who fits a profile that's already highly politicized. And to top it all off, the Munich Security Conference is starting tomorrow.
Oh gosh, the timing couldn't be more significant. High-profile events like this conference with world leaders gathering to discuss global security often become targets or focal points for protests and unrest.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if security is ramped up, even more than usual this year.
And we can't forget U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance will be at the conference, even meeting with Ukrainian President Zelensky. The stakes were already high. But this incident just threw a whole new level of complexity into the mix.
Right. We have this international conference focused on global security happening in a country that's suddenly facing these very real, very immediate security threats. And then we have this detail about the suspect's background, which is likely to spark intense debate and scrutiny. It's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, it is. But let's try to unpack it piece by piece. So we've got this driver in custody, a significant number of people injured, including children, and an investigation that's just getting started.
And all of this is unfolding against a backdrop of heightened security concerns in Germany, fueled by recent events like the attack in Magdeburg and this foiled plot in Dresden. It creates a very tense and uncertain atmosphere, and I think it's safe to say that things are likely to get even more complicated before they get any easier.
Feels like we're standing on a fault line, just waiting for the next tremor. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're still working with limited information here, and it's crucial to be cautious about jumping to conclusions.
Absolutely. What we know right now is just the tip of the iceberg. The investigation is in its early stages, and there's a lot we still don't know. But that doesn't mean we can't start to think about the ripple effects of this attack.
Yeah, because even if the full story is yet to unfold, this incident is already sending shockwaves. I'm particularly thinking about the potential impact on the Munich Security Conference. Could this attack overshadow the entire event?
I think that's a real possibility. Yeah, this throws a wrench into everything. Suddenly security is going to be paramount, and it's likely that discussions about terrorism and international cooperation will take center stage.
And let's not forget Vice President Vance's planned meeting with President Zelensky. This attack adds a whole new layer of tension to an already delicate diplomatic situation.
It's like a pressure cooker just got turned up to high. And this raises a really important question. How will this incident be framed in the media and by different political actors? Will it be used to justify increased security measures? Or will it spark calls for a more nuanced approach to immigration and integration?
It's like everyone is waiting to see which way the wind will blow. And the CBS News article mentioned that the suspect was apprehended at the scene, which means he's likely to face trial. This trial could become a focal point for a much larger debate about responsibility, extremism, and the justice system.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we've seen this play out before, haven't we? Trials like this often become lightning rods, attracting intense public scrutiny and even exacerbating existing social divisions. It's crucial to remember that due process is essential, regardless of the nature of the crime.
Right. Everyone deserves a fair trial, and we can't allow fear and anger to dictate the outcome. But amidst all the political maneuvering and the media frenzy, it's important to remember the human cost of this tragedy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The victims' lives have been irrevocably changed by this act of violence. Their stories, their pain, and their needs should be at the forefront of our minds.
Yeah, it breaks my heart to think about the physical and emotional trauma they're going through. The fact that children were among the injured just adds another layer of tragedy to this whole situation. It makes it feel even more senseless and cruel.
And while we're discussing the broader societal impacts and the potential political fallout, we can't lose sight of that individual human suffering. These are real people, real families grappling with unimaginable pain and fear.
So let's shift gears a bit. What does all of this mean for our listeners? What should they be paying attention to as this story develops?
I think the key takeaway here is to be discerning consumers of information. As more details emerge about the attacker, his motives, and any potential connections he might have, pay close attention to how different sources are framing the narrative. Are they presenting a balanced perspective? Are they relying on facts or resorting to speculation and fear-mongering?
That's great advice. It's like choosing a trusted guide to help you navigate a dangerous jungle. You wouldn't want to go in there with just anyone. And it's also important to be aware of your own biases. What assumptions are you bringing to the table? Are you letting your emotions dictate your interpretation of the facts?
Exactly. It's so easy to fall into the trap of confirmation bias, looking only for information that confirms our existing beliefs. But that just reinforces those beliefs, even if they're based on faulty information or incomplete understanding.
It's like building a house on a foundation of sand. It might look stable at first, but it won't hold up in the long run. And I think this brings us to something really important: the need for dialogue and open-mindedness.
Absolutely. Don't be afraid to engage in thoughtful discussions with people who hold different viewpoints. Listen to their perspectives, challenge your own assumptions, and try to find common ground. It's through dialogue and understanding that we can bridge divides and build a more informed and resilient society.
It's like building bridges instead of walls. And sometimes those bridges can lead to unexpected and valuable insights.
Precisely. It's through those challenging conversations where we're forced to confront different perspectives and grapple with complex ideas that we grow and evolve as individuals and as a society.
Yeah, it can feel overwhelming, trying to sort through all this information and not get swept up with the emotions of it all.
You're absolutely right. It's like being caught in a whirlwind, and that's precisely why it's so important to be intentional about how we process information. We have to make sure we're not letting fear and bias cloud our judgment.
So how can our listeners stay informed, but also protect themselves from information overload and potential manipulation? It's a tough balancing act.
One strategy is to be really selective about your news sources. Choose outlets known for their accuracy, fairness, and commitment to in-depth reporting. Don't just rely on social media or sensationalized headlines for your information.
Yeah, that's great advice. It's like choosing a trusted guide to help you navigate a dangerous jungle. You wouldn't want to go in there with just anyone. And it's also to be aware of your own biases. What assumptions are you bringing to the table? Are you letting your emotions dictate your interpretation of the facts?
Exactly. It's so easy to fall into the trap of confirmation bias, looking only for information that confirms our existing beliefs, but that just reinforces those beliefs, even if they're based on faulty information or incomplete understanding.
Right. It's like building a house on a foundation of sand. It might look stable at first, but it won't hold up in the long run. And I think this brings us to something really important, the the need for dialogue and open-mindedness.
Absolutely. Don't be afraid to engage in thoughtful discussions with people who hold different viewpoints. Listen to their perspectives, challenge your own assumptions, and try to find common ground. It's through dialogue and understanding that we can bridge divides and build a more informed and resilient society.
It's like building bridges instead of walls. And sometimes those bridges can lead to unexpected and valuable insights.
Precisely. It's through those challenging conversations where we're forced to confront different perspectives and grapple with complex ideas that we grow and evolve as individuals and as a society.
This has been a heavy deep dive, but I think it's been incredibly insightful. We've covered so much ground from the immediate facts of the attack to the wider context of security concerns and the potential for political manipulation.
And I think we've equipped our listeners with some valuable tools for navigating this complex and evolving situation. Remember, stay informed, stay critical, and stay engaged.
That's a perfect way to wrap things up. To our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll continue to follow this story and provide updates as more information becomes available. Until then, stay safe and keep those critical thinking skills sharp.